So hello everyone, today I am going to dictate you the passage number 56 of the Modern Volume 3rd, 5 seconds to go. Mr. Vice Chairman Sir, I thank you for according me this opportunity to express my views on a matter of great national importance. Sir, I would like, with your leave, to draw out at the very threshold the contours of this debate. Sir, the contours of this debate can be stretched out in four corners. What are these four corners? Sir, the debate is really about the conscience of our intellectual heritage. It is about a theory of history that claims no absolutes but at least fidelity to facts. It is also a level, sir, about the imperatives of respecting the sensitivities of the people in a pluralist society that glorifies its composite culture. Therefore, sir, this debate is about the philosophy of our republic. It is about the philosophy of a civilization in which the distinguished former minister justly prides himself, and we share in that pride. Sir, there is a genesis to this debate, and it is a contemporary current genesis. It all started with one principal architect who, writing in the Times of India, talked about the dangers of colonization of the minds. Of course, he talked about the colonization of minds in a different context. But I would like to amplify that concept to say that, in a sense, this debate is about an attempt to colonize the minds of the people of the succeeding generations in a particular direction. Now, one may differ with views. People may have a different view about the history books, the curricula, the syllabi, but I may bold to state that in my understanding of the history as written in those books which gave the immediate context for this debate, there is a clear and decisive attempt to colonize the minds of the succeeding generations of India. And, sir, it is not I who am saying this. It has been brought about in a report which is authored by those who are known for their academic excellence, who are peers in historical research. Sir, one may differ with Mr. Burundi's preferences. One may differ with his analysis of data of history, but no one in his right mind can reasonably question the academic credentials of the man. I have his credentials, sir, and I have the sum and substance of the report. Sir, the report summarizes its conclusions and says that it is convinced that the current NCERT textbooks on history brought out after 2000 are substandard and include many errors of fact and also unbalanced interpretation. The errors are so many that rectification of each and every one of them is almost impossible. The problem is further aggravated by directives indicated in the National Framework for Curriculum in Schools 2000, which put a premium on indigenous tradition in Indian history, identified largely with the ancient Indian values. Later developments in Indian history are seen as irrelevant, if not harmful. Sir, not a word has been stated in the debate that preceded me to suggest that these conclusions are either perverse or unsubstantiated. The distinguished former HRD minister stated that he could find no basis for this conclusion, but, sir, I only need to point the attention of this House to 30 pages given in Appendix 1 to this report, which have specifically and categorically delineated what the historians consider as aberrations in the writing of history. Sir, in this factual background, the matter by public interest litigation was brought to the Supreme Court. A lot has been said as to the purport of this Supreme Court judgment, and sir, the Supreme Court judgment has been repeatedly misquoted. In fact, sir, Justice Sinha, writing for the Supreme Court, said that it is true that CABE, which is an institutional process to oversee everything about educational writing, was not consulted, and it was an institutional process in place from 1935 to 1994. For 60 long years, without a break, there has been a tradition, a custom, a convention, a practice of getting the curricula vetted, scrutinized, approved, deliberated upon by the General Committee of the NCERT, by its Executive Committee, and then by CABE. None of these institutions were asked to deliberate, and suddenly, from nowhere, we find that there is a curriculum which is inflicted on millions of students of history in this country. Sir, I lay no claim to an absolute standard of history. History is always in a state of evolution. History is evolved as societies evolve, as democracies mature. People give their own imprint to historical processes. Therefore, no one claims absolutes in history, but fidelity to facts is never compromised. Sir, nobody disputes the fact that we have all to be justly proud of our heritage. Indeed, we are. Thank you.